Well, welcome to the Afterburn podcast. This is episode 6 with my friend Corinne Goldberg. Corinne, I met a few years ago when she took a virtual certification with me through Stages 1. I quickly saw her passion. She's been blooming on Instagram and online, and I know you're going to love this interview. Let's get into this. Corinne, thank you so much for being on my new podcast. I call it the Afterburn. And when I started inviting instructors, I thought about you because we met. How long ago was it again? You took an online stages course with me. You were new, if I remember right, to being an instructor. Do you remember how long ago that was?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Joe. It's so good to see you again. That was probably about 2.5 years ago, right?
Yeah, it's been a little while.
It's been a little while. Yeah, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you. Thank you for agreeing, to come on and share your story. We're going to spend about 30 minutes here and kind of deep dive at least as much as we can into your passion, because every time I see you on social media, I see you're growing. I see you really being super efficient with your social media. Passion comes through. Strategy comes through. Like it's a ton of fun. But why don't we start with when we met a couple of years ago? You signed up for a Stages online indoor cycling certification, and I had the honor of having you in my class. I was the one instructing it. And talk about that. Like, how did that go for you?
Yeah, it's been like 2.5 years since we met, and that was my first foray into, testing the waters to become an indoor cycling instructor. The certification is a prerequisite, as you know, to teach at any big, gym. And so I was at a point, it was right after, I think, middle end of COVID, where I had this itch to become a cycling instructor. I have been thinking about it for 10 years. And
wow.
I would go to spinning with my mother at our local gym, Bally's Total Fitness.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And I
used to teach at Bally's.
Oh, you did? Nice.
Like way back in the day, like 15 years ago. It was pretty amazing.
Nice. Yeah. They have some great instructors. So many that inspired me, that excited me, that really got me into, this desire to teach. And so we would go to class, and I would always be so motivated and excited after. And I would think to myself, one day I want to become a cycling instructor, because I love music. I love fitness. I love helping people achieve greatness in whatever, it is in their life. And fitness for me is a passion. I want to bring that, excitement to others. So I always thought about it, and it was intimidating because you might remember your first time getting on stage for an audition in front of all these people. There's lights on you. There's a microphone that you're used to. There are people watching you and expecting you to say something great.
Yeah.
Make their day incredible and to provide an amazing experience and a great workout. And I was so nervous. And for 10 years, I would say, I want to do this, but there's no way I can do this. I don't teach fitness full time. I'm not a group fitness instructor. I don't know if I can do this. But it was always itching at me. And so during COVID, I had the patience, the time, the energy, the silence.
Yes.
No distractions to really decide to make a decision to try it. And that's when in the Stages course, which was great. And since then, I've been teaching at various fitness studios ever since.
Love it. Love it. Well, I first want to give a shout out to Mom, because believe it or not, if you go back and listen to some of the other episodes that I have, the moms were like a huge role in why some of the instructors got started. Like I just interviewed Alina, and then I interviewed my friend Rachel, and they were like, well, it's my mom. My mom took me, and my mom, and it's like, what? Like we got to have an episode with all of our moms, because they've been inspiring all of you to start and do, get your journey going. And I know I love that you shared like all of the nerves and, the bravery it takes to start this. I remember specifically when you went through the training with me, you had a ton of questions, and I loved it. I loved it because I can tell, and not that your other, people in the cohort weren't into it, but you were like, now explain to me this. Now, would you tell me this? And how do you do this? Like, you were so dialed in, and I love that. And I think if I remember right, you had your first audition. Was it with Cycle Bar? I feel like.
Good memory. Good memory. Cycle Bar.
Yeah, and you recorded something for me. I gave you a little feedback, and then you went off to your first, audition. How did that go? Like, did you get it? Did you not? Because I know you're teaching now, and I want to hear about that now. But like, how did that experience go for you?
Yeah, thank you for, recognizing the amount of questions I asked because I was so interested and intrigued, and I hadn't come from a fitness background. So, you for me are the just the most advanced, in the field. At least that was my initial impression. So I was so excited to learn and soak it all up. And thank you so much for the original feedback, because I think, when you're trying anything new, it's important to have mentorship and support and a community and sponsorship, and especially when you're trying something new, right, in a field that you know nothing about. So you really helped me gain the confidence I felt like I needed to go into that audition, feeling strong and feeling prepared.
Yes.
It was the most exhilarating experience of my life to get up and audition in that way in front of 40 people. It was right after COVID at Cycle Bar in New York City. All of the former fitness instructors were getting back into fitness. They'd been out of work for so many months, and the competition was fierce.
Wow. 40 people. Like, I don't think I've ever been a part of an audition where there's that many people there. That has to be on another level.
Joe, I picked the most impeccable timing for a novice, cycling instructor who worked behind a desk for the vast majority of my time throughout the week, to go on stage in front of actors and actresses. Because remember, this is New York City, where everyone that works in group fitness, a lot of people are doing Broadway shows, and, their real career or their, primary career is the arts.
Yeah.
And they're used to getting up on stage and commanding a room, stage presence, vocal variation, intonation, all of the skills that are so important to be a group fitness instructor and a cycling instructor, musicality, beat, rhythm. So it was really intimidating.
Yeah.
I got out of my comfort zone, and I was really proud of myself because I fell flat on my face. It was the worst audition I've ever had, and I remember it ever since.
Our first is always our worst. I think, I don't remember who said that, but your first is always your worst, right? But that's okay. That's okay. Like, but as I hear you.
Shout out to Cedric Green from Cycle Bar. I hope he watches this, because he was so welcoming and nice after, sat me down and gave me feedback. And, it just, it takes a certain type of person, I think, to recognize the vulnerability it takes to get up there and do something really uncomfortable. So.
Yeah. Well, shout out to him. You're going to have to share it with him and let him hear your story, because he was a part of this journey for sure, of you getting to where you are. Now, as you're speaking, you're saying, the intonation, the commanding the stage, the music volume, like, you're talking about all the things that a seasoned instructor will have to know, will have to say, will have to be comfortable with. And you've been at it, a little over 2.5 years. And to know all of that tells me so much more about what a deep dive you took into this. And I love that, because not everybody realizes that. Like, I have worked with instructors that even working with their voice and how they project their voice, how they use their diaphragm, and even change the tone of their voice makes a huge difference when you're giving cueing, right? When you're saying, all right, in 3, 2, 1, like, you got to use your voice as a tool, right? Yeah. And I love that you're saying all that, because these are things that, again, you still relatively being new to the space, you clearly understand that. That tells me you're going to be in the game for a long time, for sure.
I hope so. Thank you. I think it takes that failure to, at least for me, it lit this fire under me, because I don't like failing. I don't know about you, but most of us don't like failing, right?
No. Heck no.
No, you want to win. You want to be the
Yeah.
best. And so, like, everything else in my life where I've pursued something important to me, it was really important to me to be really good at being a cycling instructor. And that requires so many different skills and real dedication, observing and practice
Yes.
from others who have been in the field a lot longer than myself. So I'm still learning. It's been a huge evolution, really exciting. There's always something to learn. I think that's what I love about group fitness and cycling.
Yeah.
There's always something to learn.
Yes.
There's
No.
always someone who gives you a new idea in a cycling class, who coaches in a way that inspires you that you never thought about. Right.
Oh, totally.
A creative field. And I think I didn't realize that when I first became an instructor. I thought, well, you make the playlist, get on stage, you pull some motivational quotes from Instagram. And that's kind of it. But to be a really exceptional coach,
Oh my God, I love it.
Right, it requires digging really deep inside yourself and figuring out what makes you tick and what makes that other person tick. And then how can you blend those two to create an experience.
I love that. Do you find that if you don't like feed yourself, you don't have anything to serve up? In other words, like, it's to your point, you could totally go and find quotes and everything, but they can come off a little inauthentic if you're just saying them because it sounds good. But if you read something or you listen to a podcast, you share a story from something that just happened in your life, isn't that just so much more meaningful?
So much more meaningful. Authenticity, I think, in this experience is crucial, because people go to a cycling class for a whole host of reasons. It could be to lose weight, to elevate their performance, because they've had a bad breakup, because they're really stressed at work, because someone in their family passed away, right? A whole host of reasons. Yeah. So, I think being able to be authentic in the room and show up in a way that inspires and motivates others requires you to be really truthful about how you are, motivated, and what excites you, and what you're interested in using that space and that forum to talk about. I talk a lot about because I work in a desk job and a semi-corporate setting, there's a lot of pressure. There are high expectations. And I know that a lot of people in my community, my writing community, have a similar experience at work. And so I try to talk and relate to people in that way. I try to talk about coming to, using group fitness as like a way to relieve stress and disconnect and meet others who are, in a similar professional environment. So that's been really interesting, because I've noticed that there are more authentic connections that form in the room when I've showed up to talk about experiences like that at work that are authentic to me.
Yeah. Well, and it helps build that community, because they're feeling you're kind of guiding the culture of the community as you communicate your authenticity. And then they start to connect with one another. And now, like, we love Corinne and we love hanging out with so-and-so, or we can't, I hope the person that has been motivating me shows up, week after week, or whatever that is. And then you have this beautiful community of support, and one of the things that I find really fascinating about indoor cycle, whether it's online or in person, is that you really do feel connected, and you really do come back for all of the above reasons. At first you may come in, to your point earlier, because you have a specific goal, because you want to, you're deconditioned, you're coming back from an injury, it's snowing outside, so I can't ride outside. Like, there's all these reasons why people come. At least we just had a blizzard. Like, I literally shoveled, there's like 2 feet of snow, like, on either side of my driveway. It's crazy. But
you need the gym. You need an indoor cycling room for, to exercise in that weather.
Yeah. Well, I taught this morning, and it was packed out because everybody had been snowed in yesterday and they came in today. I was like, yeah, we're all here, So it was a ton of fun, but there's so much to it. Now, walk me through, you teach now. Where do you teach at right now?
I teach at Equinox Fitness now and Chelsea Piers Fitness. So both in New York City.
So cool.
Yeah, it's been a ton of fun.
And to your point earlier, with the amount of people, wanting to competition, if you will, like we all love each other, we all want to work together, but with the amount of actors and talent and all of the above, that's really amazing that you're teaching and you're thriving. Walk me through what a class, like not necessarily a playlist or anything like that, but walk me through. And I ask you this because I know you're a very thoughtful person, and at least that's the impression I get.
Thank you.
Yeah, walk me through what goes on in your mind as you're driving or walking or commuting. I don't know what it looks like in New York for you. As you're going to your class, you have your playlist ready, right? You turn on the lights, you check this. Like, walk me through that all the way through. Boom, we're starting. What happens in a typical class for you?
Well, first of all, thank you. I appreciate the compliment. I try to be thoughtful and well prepared because preparation is the key to a successful class, in my opinion.
Oh, 1,000%. Your opinion's right, I think.
Good. Thank you. So for me, I think music programming is one of the most fun elements of this job. That's one of the biggest reasons I got into cycling. I love music. I love music of all sorts, and I love the variety when it comes to programming and the member experience that incorporating a whole host of genres provides. So I think for me, it really starts with thinking about what I want the experience to look like for said class at said time. A Monday evening class is going to be a very different vibe than a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday morning at 6 a.m., right? A Saturday morning is going to be very different, a Sunday morning than a weeknight. So I try to be really thoughtful about the type of experience that I feel the community would like for said class. And then once I have that in my mind, I work backwards and I start to put together songs that I feel like will deliver that experience. So my Monday night crew, for example, loves to come back from the weekend, amped up. They're ready for the week. They want pump up. It's Monday. This is their favorite day to work out of the week. They love giving me song recommendations, EDM, hip hop crew.
Yeah.
So for them, I know that that's the type of music they love and I'll play it. And so I work backwards from that experience. I throw together songs. And I think what's been really helpful for me is mentors over the course of my spinning career that have helped me learn how to program. Okay. So another shout out to Allison, the breakaway group fitness instructor at Chelsea Pierce Fitness.
Yeah.
She's been really, really helpful at helping me map out the cadence
yes,
of each track and then build a program that has a lot of variety in it.
Okay.
So what I like to do is pull songs that have a cadence between 60 and 125 BPMs, right? And then for the lower BPMs, I'll do hills and intervals with a little bit of choreography, tap backs, elbow drops. And then for the faster cadence, it'll be sprints, interval training, a little bit of choreo as well in the saddle. And so I'll start to work backwards from that variety and build out the exercise that I want each rider to experience in each song, map to the BPM, map to the experience that I want for the holistic class. And then I will listen to the playlist a few times on my way to the gym. I'll think through where I want a little bit of motivation sprinkled throughout, which tracks would be best for that. Typically, with tracks without a lot of audio, I think are the best. So I'll do that. And then I really get there, and then it's showtime. I'll put it on, and I have everything mapped out in my phone in a notes doc, and it's game time.
I love that. I love that. Now you're speaking music to my ears because I absolutely love to map out my music to know, what are the BPMs, and you're 1,000% right when you say it should be somewhere between on the low end of BPM 60, on the high end about 125-ish, somewhere in there. If it's doubled, and again, this is where we can get as deep as we want in this part of it, but I always say slower, heavier, lighter, faster, right? And so when we're slower cadence, we're heavier resistance. When we're higher cadence, we're lighter resistance. And that's exactly what you're describing there. Do you use, and we don't need to spend a lot of time on this, but do you use like a metronome? Do you use software? well, give me the bird's eye view of you mapping out one song. What does that look like for you?
It's such a great question. And I'm so glad you asked, Joe, because I work in digital marketing. I worked in various, software companies over the course of my career. And I think the industry is so ripe for innovation when it comes to technology that group fitness instructors use to map out songs, to playlist, to program. I use a simple BPM app. It's called, I think, BPM Tempo.
Sure.
I often use that. I use Spotify's Sort My Music, which will provide a list of BPMs for each playlist.
Shout out to Sort My Music.
Exactly. So those are the two software programs that I use. And then I've experimented with just the Notes app to map the songs. I would love to see a world where there is a full integration of software, from planning to songs to notes to overlaying that with the exercises and almost like a garage band. I've seen some interesting software companies that are doing stuff in that space, but there's so much that we can do with technology.
Yes.
Those are the two to three apps I use: Beat, Tempo, my Notes app, and then of course Spotify, SoundCloud, and Sort My Music.
Yeah, I love that. There is a new, I'm going to message this to you after this call. There's it's been out for a while, but there's a website called Kosick, and it's Kosick Music, something like that. And what that does is it takes the Sort My Spotify playlist to the next level. Now, as you know, you could import your Spotify playlist. You could connect, your account. You pull in your playlist and you could sort it by BPM. You could sort it by genre, sort it by year, sort it by length. It does all of that stuff, everything the same, right? The difference is that you could download it as an Excel spreadsheet. Ooh. So now what I've been doing, which is super helpful, is because you can't really download that. It's just like a screenshot, if you wanted to download whatever you wanted from Sort My Spotify playlist machinery. I can't remember what exactly the URL is, but this allows you to go into an Excel spreadsheet. Now, if I change my mind on something, I could just flip it on the panel, on the grid or whatever, on the cells, and then I can color it too. I could say, all right, I could add color to the BPM, row. I could add color to the effort row. I could add things that don't exist. I could take away the things that I don't want. I know this, people are probably getting crazy with, we're like, what are you guys talking about? But we're nerding out right now on numbers and metrics, but it does a ton of stuff. And there's all kinds of different things. Like you can go and it'll even tell you like what your playlist has the majority of. So for example, today I had a playlist and it said, this is 80% pop, it's 20% hip hop and 5% rock. And so you could even create genre, like this is my hip hop ride, or whatever, if it just happened to have more of that or whatever. So anyway.
I love that. You'll have to send me that. Please do.
Yes.
This is such an important and interesting topic that we could probably spend hours on. And it's crucial that instructors have the right technology and tools to make lives easier, because it takes a long time to create a playlist and to develop an experience that is fantastic.
Yeah, we're going to have to invent that, Corinne. We're going to have to figure it out.
About that. There must be a way to create a holistic platform.
Yes, I love that. One of the things that inevitably happen is we run into somebody that tells us their story. They took a class of ours, and we really, you mentioned it earlier. Some people come for weight loss. Some people come because they were involved in a bad breakup. Some people, they need a stress relief. Some people need a break from the kids. Like there's so many reasons. Is there a story that you could remember? I'm sure there's several, but is there one that you could share with us about a member that took your class maybe a few times, and then one point after class, they said, hey, thank you because. Is there anything like that you could share with us?
I've definitely had a few of these experiences, and it makes teaching worth it. One, thank you. One, comment, one sign of appreciation reminds you that this job is so gratifying.
Yes.
So I'm sure you've probably had hundreds of thousands, right? And it really is, it makes this job so worth it. And I think for me, feeling a little bit out of my comfort zone, not in group fitness and not in the fitness industry as my primary career, I felt at many points like I've had imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't belong to be here. I don't belong here. Maybe, I need to be more experienced before I can teach. And so there's a lot of that I felt in the first few years of cycling. And one particular experience stands out where I was teaching a class, and it wasn't my normal class. I was subbing. And if you have subbed a class before, which I'm sure you have, you probably can relate to this, in that you don't know the members, you don't know what the vibe is going to be, you don't know what the energy is going to be, you don't have your, Sally or Sam that you can call out to in the corner that will give you a woo.
Yeah.
It can be intimidating.
Yeah.
And this particular class was pretty full. And I remember it was very early on, my first few months of cycling. I was nervous. I hadn't subbed a lot. Get on the stage, and there are people that need help. Tons of people that are taking cycling for the first time. Takes a long time to set someone up. You want the class to start on time. So there was a woman that came in right as I was going to start the class. Older woman. It looked like she had been to cycling before. And she comes up to me and she looks distraught, completely distraught. And she looked in my eyes and she said, "I have had an absolute week from hell." And you could imagine I'm there with tons of other things to do to make sure the class gets started on time, to make sure people are safely in their saddle, to make sure everyone knows what's going on, to make sure I give my spiel. And she looks at me right in the eye and says, "I've had a week from hell." And in that moment, I thought to myself, there are so many other things I need to be doing right now, but the only thing that I want and truly have to do in this moment is support this woman.
Yeah.
Because she's decided to come to this class at 7 a.m. on a Wednesday, middle of her week from hell. Because she needs something out of it. She needs to be here.
Yes.
So I hugged her and I said, "It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I'm so happy you're here." She gets on the bike. We do the class. And at the end, she comes up to me and she hugs me voluntarily. And she says, "That is exactly what I needed in this moment."
Wow.
And I was on the verge of tears because it was the most gratifying thing I'd heard all year. The fact that she was having a week from hell, came to cycling, took a class from an instructor that she doesn't know, took a gamble on me, probably didn't want me to be the instructor because she comes regularly and liked the other instructor, I'm sure. And yet she took the time to come up to me and tell me that she got what she needed out of the class.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. And wow. And it keeps us coming back, right? It keeps us coming back because, what I know for sure too, is not only did you get the opportunity to hear that story, to hear that particular woman share that with you, but how many other stories are not shared of people that we helped? Because not everybody's going to come up to you, and they're not all going to come up to us and say, "Hey, this or that or that." And I'm confident that what we do, I think like 80% of the stories that are out there we'll never hear, but we will have invested into so many lives, which is why, we're passionate people, and group fitness instructors. We had a blizzard yesterday. And I call the instructors. I oversee the department at Lifetime, all the instructors, and they're like, they're like, can we go back? Can we go back? And it's like, it's still, we're still shoveling ourselves out of our houses, but they can't wait to get back to teach because we just want to be with the people. We want to deliver another class. Yeah. So it's beautiful. I want to finish with, and I didn't tell you this ahead of time, so I apologize if I catch you a little off guard, but I'm going to ask you, this is the lightning round. Okay.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say a sentence. You repeat the sentence and just give me just one or two words of completing that. So for example, one book that has changed my life is, you're going to repeat that and tell me what that book is. Is that fair? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Right, I got a couple of these. All right. So let's start with that one. One book that has changed my life is.
That's a tough one.
Let me start with another one. One thing I do every morning that sets me up for success is. I know I caught you off guard. I apologize.
Journal. Take my journal out, and I have a gratitude journal, and I write 3 things down that I'm grateful for.
Love it. One of my favorite pieces of advice to give others is.
Our potential is so much greater than our limitations.
Love it. One unusual daily ritual that supports your productivity every day.
Ooh. Putting eye drops in my eyes.
All right.
Key to success when working behind a laptop.
All right. I like it. Okay. So last one here. If you want to make 2024 better than 2023, or this year better than last year, make sure you
smile more.
Smiling does it. When you smile at somebody, they're almost always going to smile back. You're going to send it off, right?
That's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you once again, Corinne. It's been an honor to have met you a couple of years ago, and now to hang out again a little bit virtually. This has been a ton of fun. So I will put how to find you on Instagram and whatever other social media accounts you have in the comments. But I can't thank you enough for being a part of this show today.
Thank you so much for having me, Joe. It's so great to come full circle with you. So I really appreciate the time.
You're very welcome. We'll do it again soon.